Think of the last time something went really wrong or really right, and you needed to tell someone who actually knew you, not your manager, not your team, not the people who only know the current version of you. A friend. How long did it take you to think of a name? That pause is the episode. Because there's a thing that happens to a lot of men somewhere between 35 and 45. Not a fight, not a fallout, no dramatic ending, just drift. Old friends become people you mean to call, those people become people you wish on birthdays, and eventually those birthdays become yearly notifications on your phone. The friendship didn't end, it became administrative. And the strange thing is, most men don't describe this as loneliness, they describe it as being busy. That's how invisible the whole thing is. Because from the outside, life looks full career, family, responsibilities, school groups, office groups, weekend plans. Your phone is active all day, and somehow you still don't know whom you'd call at 2 a.m. Most men at 40 don't have friends, they have contacts. Picture this, you're at a wedding or a birthday dinner, 30 people around you, good people, successful people, people you genuinely like. And somewhere in the evening, maybe while someone's telling a story, maybe while someone's laughing at the table, you look around and you realize nobody here knows your whole story. They know what you do, they know where you work, they know how many kids you have, what city you live in. But nobody here remembers who you were before all of this. Before the title, before the responsibilities, before the competence became your personality. And that realization hits differently at this age. Because when you're younger, friendships happen accidentally. School, college, first job, late night conversations, long drives that had no destination. You didn't need to schedule intimacy back then. Now everything needs coordination. Bro, we should catch up soon. We'll plan something. Next month, pakka. And both people mean it. That's the difficult part. Nobody's pretending. Life just became logistical. Here's how the drift usually starts. The first major job change, a new city, a new company, a phase of life you thought would calm down eventually. And the friendships from before that survived for a whole while on memory. We go way back. We'll always stay close. But proximity was doing more work than you realized. And once that proximity disappeared, the friendship started running on history alone. The calls became catch ups, the catch ups became WhatsApp messages, the WhatsApp messages became reactions on stories, and nobody noticed the exact moment the friendship stopped being emotionally active because technically the connection still existed. I felt this more than I expected to. You keep telling yourself the friendships are still there because the group is still active. Someone sends a meme, someone shares an old photo, someone remembers your birthday, but emotionally, you slowly disappear from each other's life while remaining digitally connected. Here's the specific thing you lose. Not just the company, you lose the people who knew you before you became successful. And that matters more than it sounds because the people who knew you before all of this know something about you that nobody else knows. They know whether you actually became who you wanted to become. Everyone around you now met the finished product, the experienced professional, the dependable one, the person who has the answers. They didn't meet the confused version, the version trying to figure things out quietly, the version who wasn't sure he'd become this person at all. Old friends remember that version, which means they can usually tell when the current version of you is real and when it's a performance. And once nobody around you remembers the unfinished version of you, you start performing the finished version full time. You become the reliable one, the stable one, the sorted one. At some point, being useful stops feeling like being known. A real friend interrupts that. A real friend looks at you for 30 seconds and says, "You're not okay." Not because you said it, because they know your baseline. That kind of knowing is rare in adult life. You probably have someone in mind right now, a school friend, a college friend, a first job friend, someone who once knew you absolutely and knew everything about your life. At some point, you spoke almost daily. Now your friendship exists in four formats: birthday wishes, Instagram reactions, we should catch up messages, and the guilt. And the strange thing is, if you met that person today as strangers, you'd probably trust them faster than most people currently in your life. Because some friendships were built before the image management entered the conversation. They were built before everyone became careful, before every interaction became partially curated. The WhatsApp group is not friendship. The LinkedIn connection is not friendship. The colleague you occasionally went to is also not friendship. We replaced friendship with social proximity and told ourselves it was the same thing. It isn't. And somewhere inside, most people already know that. Making friends after 40 feels awkward for a reason. Not because you're too old, but because real friendships require things adulthood quietly trains you out of: time, consistency, helplessness. And helplessness becomes difficult once competence becomes your identity. You know what disappears first when friendships disappear? Honesty. Real honesty. Because look carefully at your current life. Your team needs you functional. Your client needs confidence from you. Your family depends on your stability. Even the people who love you often have emotional stakes in you being okay. So you start filtering yourself everywhere, managing reactions, managing perception, managing impact. A real friend has nothing at stake in your performance. That's what makes a friendship so valuable. That makes that relationship valuable. You can say, I'm struggling, I'm tired, I don't know if this is the life actually fits me anymore. And the conversation doesn't become about management, it just becomes truth. That relationship, where you can be fully honest without consequence, is one of the rarest things in adult life. And most men don't realize they've lost it until they really need it. And maybe the saddest part is this: when you lose the people who knew you before all of this, before you also lost access to parts of yourself, the younger version, the unfinished version, the version that wanted you, the version that wanted things, you stopped listening to you. Sometimes old friends remember dreams you quietly abandoned, or how funny you used to be, or how curious, or how live. All of that went away. Adulthood slowly turns those things into efficiencies and casualties. The calendar got full, the person disappeared. I'm not going to give you some framework for fixing this. This is not what this episode is. I'll just say this. At some point, probably sooner than you think, you're going to need that someone who has nothing at stake in how you are doing uh, financially, someone you don't have to perform to, or someone who remembers you outside the role. And if nobody came to that mind quickly at the beginning of this episode, that's probably worth paying attention to. Not with shame, but with honesty. I'm still figuring this out too, by the way. There are people I deeply care about who slowly became people I only wish on birthdays. And if I'm honest, I thought the friendship would survive automatically. Turns out, nothing meaningful survives accidentally for very long. When was the last time you were fully honest with someone? You had nothing to lose from that honesty. If you can't remember, that's your answer. Next episode is all about being arranged, not arranged marriages, the arranged career. See you then.